Hey guys, it's about beer 30. Let's take a walk into the kitchen and see what's in the fridge today. Hey guys, thank you for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. Today's beer comes from Lavery Brewing Company. They're out of Erie, Pennsylvania. This is their breakfast stout, and this is a pretty big beer to be drinking for breakfast. This is a 7.1 percenter. Uh, says here, Lavery brewing innovative ales in small batches, Erie, Pennsylvania. Best served around 40 to 50 degrees in a goblet or imperial pint glass. Alcohol by volume is 7.1%. And I'm not seeing a date on the bottle that's standing out to me. This comes from Rico, my brother, and he says on the note here, milk sweet stout 7.1, 25 IBUs, and sold in 4 packs and no date. So we have no idea when it was put in there. But it's a breakfast stout and it's 7.1%. Would like to see the year on there, especially the month and the year, so we know whether it was done in January or December of that year, in case you wanted to do a vertical side by side from different years. All you can do now is just whenever you purchase it, you can write when you purchase it. That doesn't mean it was done this year. These guys, sometimes they put that information on there and sometimes they don't, especially when you get to this style of beer. But this one is brewed with a little bit of coffee, I think. Breakfast out, around the world, the hearty Irish breakfast oatmeal, fresh milk, and coffee are staples every morning. Brewed with fresh roasted coffee, dark malts, oats, and milk sugar. Our Ulster breakfast stout is a great beer for evenings and mornings alike. Well, I don't know if I'd want to drink a 7.1% for breakfast. Maybe on the weekends if I was a young fella, but homie can't do that anymore. I can't drink no 7% beer in the morning with breakfast. I'll be back in the bed. So, all you young bucks out there can handle stuff like that. My God, jump right over on it. Commercial description on this one says traveling around. That says exactly the same thing I just read from the bottle here. So I'm not going to reread that again. We know the ABV is 7.1 and the IBUs are 25. So let me get the cap off this bad boy. Well, I tell you, it goes well with your chocolate. That's what we got here on the food pairings. Glassware, pint, Bacaronic, mug, Stein, Sidell. I'm using my favorite tulip glass. And not recommended for extended celerings, even though it's 7%. It's going to keep a little while. It's got coffee in it. That's going to fade, guys. I'm going to go down the center and let's get us a little bit of head on the back end there. Everybody needs a little head. Yeah, that's what she said. About a finger on that pour. Over to the light. It's pitch black, guys. I'm not getting any at all. Dark, dark, dark. Let's get a nose to it. Now, it's right out of the fridge. I'm not getting a big coffee note on this. I don't know how old it is. That's another reason why they're brewing it with coffee. It needs to have a date on it, so we'll know to drink it fresh and not buy something that's 6, 8, 12 months old or longer where the coffee is already faded. Coffee is a lot like hops, guys. They'll fade over time. Rich roasted malt. Some caramel and toffee in there. Little bit of bittersweet chocolate. not getting a whole lot of coffee on the nose, but it's cold. That's liable to come out once it comes up to room temperature, which I will let it do, like I always do. Well, let's dive in, see what we got. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Rico. A little bit of coffee in the taste there, guys. When I say a little bit, it's there. I mean, I'm definitely getting the coffee on the taste. Roasted malt, coffee, bittersweet chocolate, caramel, toffee. Definitely more coffee on the taste than I was getting on the nose. But once it warms up a little bit, those aromas will come out. When it's 40 degrees right out of the fridge, a lot of times those aromas are a little subdued. That's why I always let the beers I'm reviewing come up to room temperature. Unless it's a lager or a lawnmower beer or something low ABV. A lot of times I want to drink those in 15, 20 minutes. Most of the time when I'm drinking anything else, stout, porter, IPA or double IPA, I'll sip on it at least 30 minutes. And some of these bigger beers, especially when you get into bourbon barrel aged beers that are 10, 11, 12, 15%, I'll sip on those sometimes 45 minutes, even an hour. I've even sipped on an IPA or a double IPA an hour. So, but then it's definitely up to room temperature, and you get a lot more aromas and a lot of things come out. A lot of people don't like to drink warm beer, and I'll be in that crowd. That's why I don't get it out of the closet and pop the top on. I want to taste it cold. Then I want to taste it at about 60, 65 degrees. And then I want to taste it 70 to 75 degrees once it comes to room temperature. And as I sip on it, those temperatures come up, and I can tell the difference. I can taste the difference. So, well, let me sip on it. Instead of sitting here flapping my gums, let her taste it, and we'll come back after I sip on it. I might step out on the deck and fire up a cigar to go with this nice stout, and see what we end up with here. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. Got just a little left. Very tasty beer. Nice roasted malt, a little bit of coffee in there, caramel, toffee, maybe some slight hints of some dark fruit in there. Would like to see them put some kind of vintage on the bottle though, in case you want to do a vertical down the road. A month and a year would be great. A year would suffice probably. Just to know where we want to do a 2015, a 2017, or whatever, side by side. That's the only plus I got about this beer. It's a very tasty beer. It's a nice stout. Got some nice coffee notes in it. Now that it's warmed up, I'm getting the coffee. I'm getting everything you would expect in a stout. And as far as being a breakfast stout, I don't know if this guy could do it for breakfast, but there are probably a lot of you young pups out there that probably could. So, decent beer. It is. It is a very well done beer. The alcohol is very well hidden, not getting any of that. Very tasty. Final chug. Definitely don't think it's to the 9 or 10 category with the information that's on the bottle. I would love to taste a bourbon barrel version of this if they did it. I'm not sure they did. I don't think they did. It isn't listed if they do. But need just a little bit more information on the vintage of the beer. If they could do a month and the year, it'd be great. Or the year would suffice if they didn't want to do that. So, and let me look at the bottle one more time to make sure there's not something written on it that nobody could see when the beer was in there. And I don't see anything ink stamped on the bottle or on the label anywhere. So we have no idea exactly when it was put in there. So that's the only fuss I got about it, guys. It's a pretty tasty beer. I'm going to give this an 8, which is an A-. They would probably get to 9 if I knew what vintage it was or they stamped it on it somewhere. So it is very tasty. New American rating for me, guys, would be a 90. That's where I would put it. So we'll run over to Beer Advocate. Beer Advocate has an 89, so I'm 1 digit off from that. Pretty close numbers there from me and them. And from Rate Beer has it at 96 overall, 97 in the style. Great numbers from those guys over there. And for our final check-in, I Untapped has it at 3.91, which is right at their B plus A minus scale. So very tasty beer. It is a very enjoyable beer. If I could get this beer here and it had a vintage on it, I would probably buy it. I just want to know when it was put in the bottle, what vintage it is. That's just me. It's just my OCD. Just want to know that information. So, if you've had this one from Lavery or Lavery, however it's pronounced, Brewing Company, this is their breakfast stout, and it's brewed with coffee, and it says so right on the thing here. It is brewed with fresh roasted coffee, dark malts, oats. It does have with the oats, it does have a nice mouthfeel to it. Milk sugar, so they've done some lactose in it to keep that sweetness on it that the yeast can't eat up. And they're calling it a breakfast stout. Great beer for evenings or mornings alike is what they say here. So some of you young bucks could probably drink this for breakfast, especially on the weekends when you ain't got to go do a whole lot. I don't know if I'd want to do this, even being a young buck, during the week and try to go to work after drinking a 7.1% beer. That might get you in a little trouble, especially if you're operating some kind of machinery or anything. But a nice weekend beer if you're not working, if you so choose to do that. So very tasty. I enjoyed it. Very nice. So if you've had this one from them, let me know what you think, guys, and come on back tomorrow. Let's take something out of that big old fridge in there. See you then.